Just gonna take a welcome back, members. I am worried we will lose quorum before we complete all of our work today, given that we are going to skip some discussion on the remaining items in agenda item 13B that does not require action. So with that, we're gonna move to, again, we're worried about losing a quorum before we complete all of our work today. So we're gonna skip discussion on the remaining items in agenda item 13B that do not require action. We're gonna move to amendment of section 4036 and attachment 1, pharmacist defined. Amendments to section 4036.
I'm so sorry, President. Oh, you want to take a
Oh,
roll call?
sorry. Thanks, Corinne. Look at me. I'm trying to get on with it. Jesse, are you back?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, Trevor. Here. Thank you, Renee.
Present.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Here.
Thank you, KK.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm sorry, make you run. Claudia.
Yes.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Yes.
Thank you, Satinder.
Yes.
Thank you, Maria.
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole.
Present.
Thank you, and I am here. Again, thank you so much. And so we're moving to amendment section 4036, pharmacist defined. 4036 update the definition of a pharmacist to provide that the holder of an unexpired and active pharmacist license issued by the board is entitled to practice pharmacy as defined by the chapter within or outside of a pharmacy, within or outside of a licensed pharmacy. As the meeting materials highlight this change in definition, the committee is recommending the board promulgate regulations to more broadly establish provisions for remote processing. Members, included in the meeting materials is draft regulation language that the committee is recommending. As I open for member discussion, I note that the meeting materials and meeting slide include a possible motion that could be used to initiate a rulemaking to establish provisions for remote processing. I welcome comments from members and would also entertain a motion if you believe such action is appropriate. So again, we are on attachment 1 under the pharmacist defined. Members? I see Jesse's hand raised. Jesse.
Thank you, President O. One thing of note, and this comes up a lot of the times when I hear from pharmacists who are doing clinics and how remote processing may assist them with that. But my question I guess, is if a pharmacist is to perform remote processing, say in a clinic, just using that as an example for immunizations, that comes up a lot, just to make it easier and get those claims processed in a timely fashion. How would the board really be able to inspect that? I know in theory and like in writing, it's saying here that the board would have the ability to inspect a location, but if it's a one-time thing, is that something that's realistic or possible?
I'm punting that to Anne on that question, Jesse.
So, Jesse, I guess I can't like fully respond to your question because really the inspection authority talked about in here is really just intended if there is an investigation that would require the board to assess something. So I think by and large, it's not intended to be proactive inspections at all. So in the instance that you've described, given that it was a one-off, I don't know that the investigation would include an inspection, if that makes sense.
Thank
Yeah, that
you.
makes sense. Thank you.
Maria, I'm hoping you make a motion. Just kidding. Not to put any pressure.
I have a question though, mostly because I think there's maybe some difficulty with the whole idea of space. Quite a few pharmacists that practice outside of a licensed pharmacy don't often have a designated space or office or clinic. Sometimes it's their laptop that goes with them to their home, to the patient's location, or to the clinic. So the laptop is portable. It's not necessarily like engaged to a specific hard space. So I think we probably need to say if that's not acceptable, we need to say that. But if it is acceptable, which I hope it is, because that's pretty common practice, then I'm not sure how we can even talk about space.
I think it's related to remote processing for dispensing purposes, not necessarily in providing like clinical advice, consultation, patient education.
So that still happens with the laptop people take home. Now, oftentimes
Mm.
you have a home office, but it may be a laptop that's assigned to that shift rather than a space.
Okay, thanks, Maria. Maybe, I think we can still proceed just because you know how the rulemaking, as you well very know. I think my hope is that we get this going so that as this is a rulemaking process, we can continue the discussion and clarify as necessary, is my hope, if you all are agreeable. Okay, I see Satinder is passionately nodding his head, so hopefully he's bold enough to make a motion. Thank you, Satinder. It's very long and lengthy, as
To
always.
initiate a rulemaking to add California Code of Regulation Title 16, Section 1717.11 as proposed or consistent with the board's discussion. Direct staff to submit the text to the Director of the Department of Consumer Affairs and the Business, Consumer Services, and Housing Agencies for review, and authorize the executive officers to take all necessary steps to initiate the rulemaking process, make any technical or non-substantive changes to the package, and set the matter for hearing if requested. If during the 45-day comment period, the board does not receive any comments providing objections or adverse recommendations specifically directed at the proposed action or to the procedures followed by the board in proposing or adopting the action, and no hearings is requested, authorize the executive director to take all necessary steps to complete the rulemaking and adopt the proposed regulation at section 1717.11 as noticed.
Thank you, Satinder. And I just for the clarification, you would like to at this point say as proposed, correct?
Yes, as
Okay,
proposed.
thank you.
Second it too.
Thank you, Ricardo. Members, any other committee, not committee, full board discussion? Jesse, did you mean to raise your hand again? I'm so sorry if,
Yes, I did. I know in the
Okay,
past
go
I've
ahead.
been pretty vocal opponent. I still feel the same way about remote processing. The feedback that I've gotten from a lot of pharmacists in chains that do use remote processing, even within the facilities, is that they're number one, unaware when they're verifying for another pharmacy, so a patient that's not their own. And the PIC is not aware that it's even happening. And now I note that there is some language here about the pharmacist in charge pharmacists in charge needing to approve the remote processing, but as it exists today, that doesn't really happen. And I'm just concerned with not only the pharmacist in charge, but also the pharmacist on duty ability to reject that if they really wanted to. And then the last note that is a little bit confusing for me is in section B. That last part where it says, for the purpose of this section, remote processing of prescriptions does not include final product verification, supervision of pharmacy personnel, or the dispensing of a drug. I'm a little confused as to what they mean by dispensing of a drug. And I don't know if that's actually handing a drug to a patient versus being part of the dispensing process. And maybe if we have some clarification, I don't know if there's a language cleanup that is needed or if I'm the only one seeing it that way, but that's a little confusing to me.
Thank you, Jesse. Do we have any other member comments? Okay, we're ready for public comment. But Jesse, as obviously rulemaking and as we discuss further, we will definitely get that clarified and making sure that it all makes sense. Members of the public in Anaheim, do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we are ready for public comment in WebEx. Shelley?
All right. For those of our members of the public in WebEx, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please utilize that hand raise feature by pressing on the hand raise button at the bottom of your screen. For mobile device users, you can access that feature through the ellipses. And for our call-in users, you can dial *3. Our first comment comes from Jackie Stover. Jackie, I've sent a request to unmute your microphone.
Hi, my name is Jackie Stover, and I'm a specialty pharmacist. I just wanted to say thank you to the Board of Pharmacy and everyone involved for making remote processing possible and putting it within our sites and grasp. I also wanted to express my gratitude to everyone who have invested the many long hours over the past years on AB 1503. Once again, thank you for your time and attention to this very important subject that has been close to my heart and mind for the last 2.5 years since the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you for the comments.
Our next comment comes from John Gray. John, I've sent a request to unmute your microphone.
Hi, good afternoon. This is John Gray, registered pharmacist with Kaiser Permanente.
Puke.
Very happy to see this topic back on the agenda now that AB 1503 has passed. Kaiser Permanente supports common sense regulations that would allow for pharmacists remote prescription processing regardless of practice setting. And so again, we're happy to see that that's the general direction that the board is taking. However, in our view, common sense does not include regulations that would contravene an individual's protection under the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. And it seems that that is what this regulation would seek to do. Additionally, it's not clear to us under what authority, what existing authority in Business and Professions Code 4008, a Board of Pharmacy inspector would be allowed to enter a remote work site that is not one of the kinds of sites contemplated in that section of statute. So again, largely supportive of the direction, but have significant concerns about the proposed 1711 A2. Thanks very much for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you for the comments, Dr. Gray.
Our next comment comes from a call-in user with the last 2 digits of 44. I have sent a request to unmute your microphone. And you will have to hit *6 to unmute your microphone. There you go.
Hi, Board of Pharmacy. I wanted to thank the whole board for all their hard work and for advancing the section regarding remote processing. This proposal supports modern pharmacy practice and improve access care, and also ultimately will improve quality of life for pharmacists, which in return will return better patient care to our patients. I respectfully urge the board to expedite the rulemaking process as this model was proven successful during the COVID era waiver. So hopefully we can come to a conclusion soon. But I also just wanted to thank everyone for all their hard work for our profession and for our patients. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the comments.
And our next comment comes from Enos Anton. I sent a request to unmute your microphone.
Hi, my name is Ines Anton. I'm a California licensed pharmacist who work for a specialty pharmacy. I want to echo comment for Jackie Stover and Safia. We thank the board for all the efforts they made about remote processing. We appreciate all the efforts. And of course, it doesn't include end product verification. We don't do product verification. We do consultation, we do UDRs, we review charts. We do patient counseling, but we don't do any product verification remotely. We are so grateful for everyone who worked on the Sunset Report and AB 1503, and we really can't wait for this to be implemented in California like all other states. Thank you so much, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to comment.
Thank you for the comments.
And seeing no other requests, I'll return the floor to you.
Thank you, Shelley. Okay, members, we are ready for vote. Any comments before we go? All right. Jesse, how do you vote?
No.
Thank you, Trevor.
Yes.
Thank you, Renee.
Yes.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Yes.
Thank you, KK. Thank you, Claudia.
Yes.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Yes.
Thank you, Satinder.
Yes.
Thank you, Maria.
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yes.
Thank you, and I vote yes. Motion passes. Next, moving to the standard of care and attachment 2, which include a recommended policy statement. So amended sections 4051 and 4052 related to standard of care will define accepted standard of care and transition some provisions for pharmacists provided healthcare services to a standard of care practice model as specified in section 4052. As indicated in the meeting materials, repeal of several regulations will be required. This will be achieved under the executive officer's delegated authority. You'll note that the committee is also recommending release of a policy statement related to the standard of care practice model in the specified areas of preventative health care. As I open for member discussion, I note that the meeting materials and meeting slide include a possible motion that could be used to approve the proposed policy statement. Welcome the discussion from members. It's attachment 2. Members? So move as well. Would work as well if you all just want to get on, but any comments? I don't see Jessie on the screen anymore here, so hopefully she's not dropped off.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we
Sorry,
can hear you.
That's weird. On my end, my video is working. Is my video not working for some reason?
I can see you, Jesse.
Oh, there you are now. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I
Great,
think it's
thank you.
just not enough boxes. Okay. Any comments or anybody want to make a motion to approve the policy statement as drafted? Attachment 2.
I'll make
I'll
the
make-
motion, Son.
Thank you, Jesse.
Seconded.
Thank you, Trevor. Public comment in Anaheim. Richard, Dr. Dang.
Hi, thank you, Richard Dang, on behalf of myself. Policy statement's great. This is my only opportunity to comment 1503, so sorry if it's in the wrong place. So for the information put out by the board about updated information on pharmacists' authority to administer vaccines, there was some confusion caused by one of the statements regarding the 4052A11 that is going to be repealed because of 1503. That is the provision that allowed pharmacists to initiate and administer vaccines for under 3 years old by protocol. So I do appreciate on the website, the board provides clarity that in the new 4052A12, that the collaborative practice agreement provisions that allow pharmacists to initiate, modify, and discontinue drug therapy is inclusive of vaccinations. So for those who are confused about that, I just want to point to that section, and I appreciate the board being proactive and putting that in writing to resolve that. The next item is regarding another element of 1503 that hasn't really received a lot of discussion and conversation, so maybe it's more for education or consideration. But we've heard in the past from public comments that some pharmacists who do prescribe or furnish medications have encountered issues with health plans rejecting their prescriptions or other companies not accepting a pharmacist's written prescription. It is my opinion that this is addressed in 1503 under the new section 4040 that defines what a prescription is. Under that definition in the new revisions, it's inclusive of section 4052, which covers the entirety of pharmacists furnishing under standard of care. So I'm hoping that as 1503 becomes implemented, that the board can work with stakeholders to educate them on what the definition of a prescription is, and that it is inclusive of pharmacist-initiated prescriptions that are done under furnishing under standard of care by the new provisions of 4052. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dang. Any other in-person comments? Seeing none, we're ready for WebEx. Shelley?
Thank you. If you'd like to make a comment on this item and you are joining us via WebEx, please access that hand raise feature. Again, that's a button at the bottom of your WebEx screen. If you're on a mobile device, you may need to utilize the ellipses. For call-in users, it's *3. And seeing no requests, I will return the floor to you.
Thank you. Members, we're ready for a vote. Jesse, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Jesse. Trevor?
Yes.
Thank you, Trevor. Renee?
Yes.
Thank you, Renee. Jeanette?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeanette. KK?
Yes.
Thank you, KK. Claudia?
Yes.
Thank you, Claudia. Jay?
Yes.
Thank you, Jay. Ricardo? Thank you, Ricardo. Satinder?
Yes.
Thank you, Satinder. Maria?
Yes.
Thank you, Maria. Nicole?
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole, and I vote yes. Thank you. I will work with staff to release the policy statement and ensure it is included in the upcoming dedicated issue of the script, which will be released in early 2026, which would include all the AB 1503's wonderful stuff that's in there. So look forward for that. So last action item under AB 1503 today is related to pharmacists in charge and staffing. Attachment 3 includes draft policy statement. So as indicated in the meeting materials, changes in section 4113 provides that the pharmacist in charge, PIC, shall make staffing decisions instead of may of the pharmacy. Further, section 4113 as amended requires the PIC to determine the appropriate pharmacist to technician ratio, which may not exceed 1 pharmacist to 3 pharmacy technicians. Among the implementation activities during the committee meeting, it was determined it is to be appropriate for the board to develop and release a policy statement related to the role of a PIC. Included in the meeting materials is a draft policy statement in attachment 3. As I open up for member discussion, I note that the meeting materials and meeting slide include a possible motion that could be used to approve the proposed policy statement. Members? Are we all lethargic from lunch? Probably. It's all understandable. Too much Chipotle over here in this location. Members, do we have anybody want to make a motion? Maria? Go ahead.
I move to approve the role of the pharmacist in charge policy statement as proposed. Period. That was pretty.
Thank you. Thank you. And oh, sorry, Jesse, I didn't realize you raised your hand. I'm gonna try to see how I can get a better view.
That's okay. I can second Maria's
Oh,
motion.
thank you, Jesse.
Yeah,
Thank
I just
you.
wanted to note that I really appreciate the board coming together to create this policy statement. I think there is a lot of confusion with some substantial law changes, and so I think this concise reminder will be very useful for both pharmacy licensees, but also for pharmacists as well.
Thank you, Jesse. Maria made motion. Jesse seconded. Members, any other comments? We are ready for public comment in person. Okay, we have one.
Relevant at this time. Lori Walmsley on behalf of Walgreens. As you contemplate the role of the non-resident PIC, I understand that you have the guidance that around who can serve as the non-resident PIC. As we're looking to come into compliance for our non-resident pharmacies, it has come to my attention that there is obviously a defined number of testing dates. There are only 4 dates before the law will be effectuated in 2026. So would like to encourage the board to look at additional dates. The CPGAE is not offered in every state, so it will require out-of-state travel for some of our non-resident PICs. So having additional testing dates would be extremely helpful for the regulated public to make sure that we're able to remain in compliance with the new law. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Appreciate the comments. Any in-person comments? We are moving to WebEx.
All right, for our WebEx attendees, please use that hand raise feature to request a comment on this item. You're displaying instructions on the screen. For our call-in users, that would be dialing *3. And seeing none, I will return the floor to you.
Thank you, Shelley. Jesse, your hand is raised, so I want to make sure I call you out.
Thank you, President. Oh, just wanted to echo the public comments. I have also received that feedback from other non-resident license holders that the CPGAE dates may be a barrier. And so I would love to see us work with some of the non-resident licensees to, if there is a way that we can create more dates or just provide more flexibility, I think that would be helpful.
Thank you, Jesse. We will definitely take that and see what we can do with our staff. Okay, any other member comments before we vote? Seeing none, we are ready for vote. All right, Jesse, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Jesse. Trevor?
Yes.
Thank you, Trevor. Renee?
Yes.
Thank you, Renee. Jeanette?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeanette. KK?
Yes.
Thank you, KK. Claudia?
Yes.
Thank you, Claudia. Jay?
Yes.
Thank you, Jay. Ricardo?
Yes.
Thank you, Ricardo. Satinder?
Yes.
Thank you, Satinder. Maria?
Yes.
Thank you, Maria. Nicole?
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole. And I vote yes. Motion passes. Okay, so I'll work with staff to release the policy statement on this, as well as we're gonna see what we can do to make sure that some more dates could be available. And we'll provide further updates. Alrighty, members, given concerns about retaining a quorum, so we're proceeding to agenda item C. So that would be, we're moving to the summary of discussion of pharmacist to pharmacy technician ratio in the inpatient setting, including possible discussion and action to initiate a rulemaking to amend CCR Title 16, Section 1793.7. The committee continued its consideration of the current pharmacist to pharmacy technician ratio, and if an update to the ratio in the inpatient setting is appropriate. As the committee materials highlight, unlike the ratio in the outpatient setting, which is set in statute, the board establishes a ratio for the inpatient setting via regulation. Currently, the board's regulations have established a fixed ratio of 1:2. As a committee, we believe that the board should consider providing greater flexibility for the PIC of a hospital to establish the appropriate pharmacist to pharmacy technician ratio. I draw your attention to the proposed regulation language included in the meeting materials that will allow the PIC to establish the appropriate ratio. Such an approach appears generally consistent with the PIC delegation authority to establish a ratio in the community pharmacy setting. The proposed language also includes some non-substantive changes to reflect updates in some state department names. As I open for member discussion and comment, I note that the possible motion that could be used to initiate the formal rulemaking process is included in the meeting materials and hopefully displayed in the slide. Okay, members, any discussion?
This is Renee.
Thank you, Renee. Go ahead.
I just would like to say that I think this is a great direction to head for the hospital setting. The presentations that we received were excellent, really showing the diversity of what's happening in hospitals. So I would like to propose the motion.
Thank you, Renee. Go ahead, and I will let you do it. And Maria, I'll get to you after, but I think Renee is, if you're okay to read on,
Yes.
get your glasses on there.
I got my glasses on. All right, let's get it done. So initiate a rulemaking to amend California Code of Regulations, Title 16, Section 1793.7 as proposed. and to direct the staff to submit the text to the Director of the Department of Consumer Affairs and the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency for review, and authorize the executive officer to take all
So
necessary.
sorry, Renee. I think that's a wrong
steps in
slide.
reading the
I am so sorry. I'm like,
You said ratio, right?
is it?
Yeah, so the ratio is 1793.7.
So that was my point.
There may be a
that
typo. I think
was-
okay, so sorry, guys. There's a
I'm-
typo.
I'm going between the agenda and then
Yes.
the agenda is numbered differently than the
It's
actual materials.
1793.8.
Okay, so
1793.8.
yeah, okay. so
Sorry.
Happy to propose that one as well. But yeah, you said ratio, so I just jumped to that without
We're on the right agenda item. It's just the slide has a typo.
So I'm confused because you were talking about agenda item D, but now we're making a motion for agenda item C. So the slides,
D.
I don't know which
Yeah.
agenda item you're on,
Okay.
ratios or D.
So can we just stick with ratios since we said ratios? I mean, but that is agenda item, D that I have here. But
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Yes, we jumped ahead on the item as we're shuffling things around. So we're gonna go with the item D.
Yeah.
So let's do that. So
I just want to make a note. I have
Okay,
to step out
that's-
briefly.
okay.
That's what I thought I had.
Thank you.
Or I start, so.
Go ahead, Renee.
Shall
Yes.
I continue? I think I knew. Do
Go
I
ahead.
start from the beginning again? Or,
Sorry, if you could start from the beginning again, and the
Sure.
motion that's on the slide is the correct one.
okay, not reading the slide. Okay, 1793.7, correct? Let me
Yes,
just
that's
look at.
correct.
Yes, okay. So is the one that's in the materials not the same? I just want
It's
before.
it's the same one. Sorry,
Yeah,
I thought you
okay.
were reading from the slide.
No, I'm not. Initiate a rulemaking to amend California Code of Regulations, Title 16, Section 1793.7 as proposed. Direct staff to submit the text to the Director of the Department of Consumer Affairs and the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency for review, and authorize the executive officer to take all necessary steps to initiate the rulemaking process, make any technical or non-substantive changes to the package, and set the matter for hearing if requested. If during the 45-day comment period, the board does not receive any comments providing objections or adverse recommendations specifically directed at the proposed action or to the procedures followed by the board in proposing or adopting the action, and no hearing is requested, authorize the executive officer to take all necessary steps to complete the rulemaking and adopt the proposed regulations at section 1793.7 as noticed.
Thank you, Renee. So sorry for the confusion. So we're on agenda item D, 1733.7. Maria, was that the comment you wanted to add?
Yes, I don't mind seconding, but I hope that we do have some time to talk about agenda item C, because I have a lot of
Yes.
comments on C.
Yes, we'll go back to the C.
Okay, so I do agree and thank everybody and second it.
Got it. Any other member comments? For our public, it is on agenda item D, under 13D. Any public comment in Anaheim? Seeing none, we are ready for public comment in WebEx.
All right, if you'd like to make a public comment and you are joining us via WebEx, please utilize that hand raise feature at the bottom of your screen to raise your hand. For our mobile users, you can access that feature under the ellipses. And for our call-in users, you can dial *3. And seeing no requests, I will return the floor to you.
Thank you, Shelley. Okay, we're ready for vote. Are we ready, members? Any comments? Okay. Jesse, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Jesse. Trevor is just stepped outside. Renee?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Yes.
Thank you, KK.
Yes.
Thank you, KK. Claudia?
Yes.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, Satinder.
Yes.
Thank you, Maria.
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yes.
Thank you, and I vote yes. Okay, we're moving to agenda item C. Again, apologies. It's not in my head. 7 came anyway. So it's 8 now. So summary of discussion of California Code of Regulation Title 16, Section 1793.8 related to technicians in hospitals with clinical pharmacy programs, including possible discussion and action to initiate a rulemaking to amend Section 1793.8. As included in the meeting materials as part of the meeting of the committee, continued its discussion on the important role pharmacy technicians play in hospitals. The meeting materials highlight several relevant provisions of pharmacy law, and a brief background is provided in reminding members about the actions the board has undertaken to evaluate the critical role pharmacy technicians play in supporting pharmacists and changes made to the authorized functions of pharmacy technicians. As a quick reminder, as part of the committee's June 2025 meeting, the committee received 4 fantastic presentations from different hospitals, including Stanford Healthcare, Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, UCSD Health, and Kaiser Permanente Enterprise Pharmacy. It was clear from the presentations that the pharmacy technicians play a critical role in their respective hospitals in supporting pharmacists and patient care services. The presentations discuss technology used in assisting pharmacy operations and more expansive roles pharmacy technicians are playing in a number of areas, including medication reconciliation and prior authorizations. It was the information shared during these presentations that served as a framework for the recommended changes being considered today. I draw your attention to proposed regulation changes being recommended by the committee to incorporate changes and develop a regulatory model to allow for a pharmacist in charge of a hospital to determine additional non-discretionary tasks that a pharmacy technician may perform in a hospital with a clinical pharmacy program. As I open for member discussion and comment, I note that the meeting materials include a possible motion that is also displayed on the slide. So that's now 17. Okay, it's the right one. Okay, Maria, your hand is raised.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to go first because, first of all, I wanted to thank the committee and all the presentations. They had a very robust discussion. This is an area that's very near and dear to my heart. So I have several suggestions to make minor adjustments to assure that we do not unintendedly impact current practices in hospitals that are very successful. Some unintended things that I would hope we could avoid. So I'll just go through them quickly if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. In number 2, in number 2B, no, sorry, it's not 2B. B and B, they're all lined up together. I do appreciate the committee's decision to specifically call out compounded and repackaged drugs as needing to be checked by a pharmacist before they're being utilized for patients. That's excellent. But I do suggest that the sentence end at technician and that the words to fill unit dose distribution systems, floor stock and ward stock be struck. It was already struck above in A. And so I think that to be consistent and to avoid differing standards in hospital practices, it should be struck from item B also, so that the sentence would end at technician, period. That's the first one. The second one is in A. There's information there that was struck that I think is valuable and should be maintained. So I would suggest that it be moved into a new C, that the C would say, all patient orders must be previously reviewed and verified by a licensed pharmacist prior to being filled by the technician. That's something that I think is the intent. It's struck from A, and I would suggest that we keep that wording somewhere, and that would be a new C. Those are the most bigger suggestions. The other 2 are kind of more discussion items. In number 2, the word inpatient care setting is really not an appropriate term anymore. Hospitals take care of different types of patients. Inpatient is just one of them. They take care of emergency room patients. They take care of infusion center patients. They take care of same-day surgery patients. Those are not inpatients. So I would suggest changing the word from inpatient care to either patient care or hospital patient care. I think it'd be easier to just say patient care. And the last issue is, I think I didn't really understand the discussion at the committee, but the word non-discretionary, which is an A, non-discretionary tasks, and I'm not quite sure how that would be interpreted by attorneys, because the practice that we're talking about is discretionary. The technician is in some situations checking the work of another technician, and they're assuring that the dose is correct. The Tylenol 325 is not a Tylenol 500. The metoprolol is immediate release and not extended release. The isosorbide is a mononitrate, not a dinitrate. To me, that's discretionary. So if you want to educate me to tell me that that's non-discretionary, then I'd be willing to hear that. But my concern is I don't want to have any unintended consequences by later someone saying those are discretionary, so techs can't do it, even though they're doing that today. Thank you. Lots there, sorry.
Thank you, Maria. That's probably have a few discussions to have, but any other comments?
Hi, Maria. Thanks. I think those are really great suggestions. And I would, I agree with your edit for 2 about shall deploy pharmacists, and suggest that maybe it could be even more general as to say shall deploy pharmacists to provide clinical services. Anyway.
So I think the
So-
challenge, okay. Is that it, Renee?
That wasn't
Did
one
you
of my
have any-
comments, so I think that's a new comment, Renee.
Well, I think
Isn't it? Go ahead.
you were saying to not be inpatient care setting. So
Yeah, I think it's just patient care setting would be appropriate,
okay,
correct?
that, I mean, I would agree with that too. but
Yeah.
I think it could be I mean, since it's to provide pharmacists opportunities for clinical services.
So that I agree with all of those comments. I think the only thing that I'm unsure how we would proceed is about your comment about non-discretionary tasks. So I think the intent of it was that we would like to provide as much flexibility for the PICs. Do you want to say something? Go ahead.
It is defined right below. And do we intend to have more activities done by a technician at the discretion of the pharmacist, or do we just want to not describe at all so pharmacists can basically subscribe more items to the technician?
So I think some of the challenge, Jennifer, you're going to need to jump in, but I think some of the challenge is that the statute already defines. So we have to acknowledge the non-discretionary tasks included in the statute. And so that's kind of what some of the language is. And I think that the intent was we have to acknowledge those, but then we can identify additional tasks. One of the comments that I heard Maria talk about, and I think Renee had made a similar comment during the committee meeting, was the whole concept of the tech check tech. And I think in trying to streamline, we kept it in one area, but probably like removed too much of it in another section. So similar to where Maria is suggesting that, you know, one of the other provisions become a standalone, we could just restore the tech check tech as a standalone subsection or whatever.
Maria?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to second what Ann said, because the Business and Professions Code section and an additional CCR section defines what the non-discretionary tasks are. This was bringing in those 2 sections, but if the board would like to further elaborate within this section additional meanings or elaborating more tasks, open to that. However, if the board would also like to leave it more discretionary for the pharmacist to determine, that's how the language currently is.
Thank you, Jennifer. Satinder, go ahead.
I think I remember from the discussion that the reason we left it at the non-discretionary was that because there were a lot of examples during the presentation that were given where the techs could be doing the more tasks and allow pharmacists to do other duties. So it was, I think we incorporated as a way for them, for hospitals to have a policies and procedures and describe what those are, and allow the PIC to have the discretion to leverage technicians for other duties.
Thank you, Satinder. Jesse? And then I'll go to you, Maria.
Thank you. I think I agree with Maria's initial comments because I get the same impression reading it as the way that Maria had described it, in that I think something like tech isn't necessarily non-discretionary. And I think that as it's presented here does provide a little bit confusion. I understand wanting to keep it open, and maybe we incorporate like a separate section for that tech. And maybe, I don't know if it's also like possible in addition to that to provide a separate section to provide more flexibility, or to say like discretionary and non-discretionary tasks. I don't know if that provides more flexibility. But just wanted to throw that in there, that I agree with Maria's initial comments on the confusion.
Thank you, Jesse. Maria?
So I appreciate Anne's fix to this. I think that leaving non-discretionary is important because that is all the things that you heard in the presentation and that I'm familiar with technicians do, but that now has made discretionary check no longer possible. So adding a new bullet point somewhere to maybe not go into the detail that was there, but to talk about it specifically so that someone doesn't come later and tell hospitals that they have to stop their program.
Good point. Okay, members, any other comments before we try to figure out where we're going to go? Okay, so there's two paths here. I think we can just bring this back to the committee and have a further discussion. Or another option is for us to just push forward here from what we discussed and start to initiate the rulemaking process, as that's kind of, I mean, it's a rulemaking process, so I don't think it's going to be, we're never going to start this rulemaking process perfect. So just keep that in mind. So I'm okay with either direction, really. So I will let you all decide. Maria, did you mean to raise your hand again?
Yes, because
Okay.
I feel comfortable making a motion as long as we have consistent with the discussion. I think that Jennifer, Ann, and you or myself could assist with making those minor adjustments
Why
rather
don't
than
we?
going back to committee.
Yeah, I mean, if you feel comfortable, I'm happy to delegate to you for as a member, and you can delegate yourself to work with the EO to fine tune the language before the rulemaking packet goes
Yeah.
out.
I would appreciate that as the acute care pharmacist on the committee.
Sure.
That would be very great. Thank you. So you want me to read it?
Go ahead.
Initiate a rulemaking to amend California Code of Regulations, Title 16, Section 1793.8, consistent with the board's discussion. Direct staff to submit the text to the Director of Department of Consumer Affairs and the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency for review, and authorize the executive officer to take all necessary steps to initiate the rulemaking process, make any technical or non-substantive changes to the package, and set the matter for hearing if requested. If during the 45-day comment period, the board does not receive any comments providing objections or adverse recommendations specifically directed at the proposed action or the procedures followed by the board in proposing or adopting the action, and no hearing is requested, authorize the executive officer to take all, and I can't see the rest of the sentence. That's the end of my slide. I'm sure it's cut off.
Executive officer to take all necessary steps to complete the rulemaking and adopt the proposed regulation as Section 1793.8 as noticed. Is that sufficient for you, Maria?
Yes, that's just, it doesn't
Okay.
come across on the slide on.
Did you add your delegation? Sorry if I missed that.
So the part that would be consistent with the board's discussion would be to delegate to member SERPA to work with the EO and staff to not coordinate, to apply the board's
How about
discussion.
to finalize the language prior to
There we
notice?
go. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Maria. Do we have second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Renee. All right, members. Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, we are ready for public comment in Anaheim. Seeing none, we're ready for public comment in WebEx. Shelley?
If anybody on WebEx would like to comment on this motion, please use that hand raise feature, locating the hand raise button at the bottom of your WebEx screen. For our mobile users, you can access this feature through the ellipses, and for our call-in users, you may dial *3. And seeing no requests, I will return the floor to you.
Thank you. I think it stayed up from the prior, but Maria, your hand is up, so I just wanted to make sure you didn't have any other comment. Up. Okay, thank you. Jesse, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Trevor.
Yes.
Thank you, Renee.
Yes.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Yes.
Thank you, KK.
Yes.
Thank you, Claudia.
Yes.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, Satinder.
Yes.
Thank you, Maria. Maria, now that you're,
Yes.
yeah, there you go. Nicole.
Yes.
Thank you, and I vote yes. Motion passes. Okay, we're now moving to the almost last item on licensing committee. Summary of discussion of proposal to establish definitions for pharmacies based on business model. The committee also initiated discussion and consideration on a proposal to establish definitions for pharmacists based on business models. As included in the meeting materials, generally the requirements for pharmacies apply equally among a variety of business models unless otherwise specified. This approach allows for broad regulation yet can become challenging when business models vary, but requirements many times do not. Within existing law, there are several instances where a more specific definition is referenced, but only when applying to a specific provision of the law. The meeting materials also provide an example. Pharmacy law does not currently include a general definition of chain community pharmacy. Rather, in specified sections of statute and regulation, the law refers to BPC Section 4001 for the definition. Note, BPC Section 4001 provides for the purposes of this subdivision, a chain community pharmacy means a chain of 75 or more stores in California under the same ownership, and an independent community pharmacy means a pharmacy owned by a person or entity who owns no more than 4 pharmacies in California. Different jurisdictions nationally have taken varying approaches, with some jurisdictions, such as Texas, issuing separate licenses for different classes of pharmacy licenses. On the other hand, Nevada issues a single pharmacy license that covers a variety of different types of business models. Nevada requires disclosure of the types of services, though. As a committee, we noted some of the benefits to develop definitions, which include providing better transparency to members of the public about service availability and allowing for more precise regulation of some requirements. Any proposal to add definitions will need to be implemented either through regulation or statutory changes. The committee intends to continue its discussion during its next meeting, and I just want to say appreciate the public comment, the written comments submitted by one of our stakeholders. So appreciate that. We will use that for our future consideration at the committee level. Members, do we have any comments on this item? Nope. All right. Seeing none, we're ready for public comment in Anaheim. No public comment in Anaheim. We're ready for public comment in WebEx. Shelley?
If you would like to make a comment,
there.
please use that hand raise feature. We are displaying instructions on the screen. And seeing no requests, I will return the floor to you.
Thank you. Okay, next agenda item is summary of discussion of infusion center pharmacies and possible changes to pharmacy law to create a new licensing program. This goes really hand in hand with the other items, so in the future we'll be combining the two discussion. The committee moved to discussion of the potential creation of a new licensing program for infusion center pharmacies. As noted in the meeting materials, the board has previously received comments that the board's current requirements for pharmacies create barriers to patient care for pharmacies that prepare infusions for administration to patients and infusion centers. As part of the committee's discussion, members requested that stakeholders provide specific examples of barriers caused by the board's current regulation of infusion center pharmacies. I would like to confirm that you received the written comments that were submitted after the meeting materials were released, and the written comments provide examples of barriers to patient care and current requirements that are established for infusion center pharmacies that are not necessary, such as patient-centered labeling requirements, noting that the infusions are provided in infusion centers administered by healthcare providers. I note that the conclusions from this letter suggest that the current licensing framework fails to capture the operational realities of modern infusion centers, and that creation of a distinct infusion center pharmacy license would modernize oversight, remove irrelevant retail obligations, and focus regulatory oversight on areas most directly related to patient safety, such as clinical safety, compounding, and sterility practice, and patient access. So the committee is not recommending any committee is not offering any recommendation. If you guys have any strong feelings or any comments or suggestions on this agenda, please voice your thoughts now so we can hopefully have a further discussion at the committee level. Maria?
Thank you. I look forward to the further discussion on this because I think that there is not one single pharmacy practice for infusion pharmacies. It's kind of a continuum. And so talking about the different levels or different programs that are in infusion pharmacies would be very beneficial. For example, the infusion pharmacy that I was most recently familiar with was solely dispensing medications to an infusion clinic. There was no patient dispensing, and that's one business type. I understand there are some infusion pharmacies that marry the providing of medications to infusion centers along with discharge, quote unquote, outpatient, whatever you want to call them, prescriptions. So it's not as straightforward as having, one infusion pharmacy is exactly the same as another infusion pharmacy. So I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you. Yep, and your observation makes it a little complicated for us to how to move forward. So we'll have more discussion on this item on how best we would proceed. Bless you. Any other comments? Seeing none, we're ready for public comment in Anaheim. Seeing none, we're ready for public comment in WebEx.
All right, if you'd like to comment on this, please raise your hand using that raise hand icon. Again, we are displaying instructions on the screen. And while I wait to see if anybody else has a comment, Paige Talley did send through another message. She had more significant technical issues and couldn't hear the meeting, so she logged off, but she did send an email with a comment if you would like me to read it.
Okay, well, we can also just receive a written comment as part of the rulemaking process as well. So I will defer that to Corinne.
I'm not sure what topic her comment was made on.
It's on this one. That's why I waited.
Oh, this topic.
yeah, I
Oh,
think
sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead and read it.
It's got to be three. Well, I think that we could just receive that in a written comment. I think chat is not really something
Right.
that we're trying to
No, she
use
sent me
as
an
much as
email. I can
possible.
forward the email to the EO.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
And
Was
not
there
seeing
any other
any other
comment?
requests.
Okay.
Nope, I'll return the floor to you.
Perfect. Thank you, members. Next is summary of discussion of application. As you can see, we had quite a meeting at licensing committee. Application requirements for advanced practice pharmacist licensure, including possible discussion and action to initiate a rulemaking to amend California Code of Regulation Title 16, Section 1730.1. The committee also considered the requirements for advanced practice pharmacist licensure. The meeting materials detail out the relevant sections of pharmacy law related to this agenda item. As noted in the materials, since implementation of the board's APH licensure program, the board has performed post-implementation review to evaluate barriers to licensure. Given the scope of practice for an APH expands way beyond initiating, adjusting, and discontinuing therapy, the committee believes it is appropriate to amend the requirements of 16 CCR Section 1730.1A3 to more accurately reflect relevant experience earned as part of a CPA in preparation for APHA license or advanced pharmacist practitioners. I draw your attention to the meeting materials, which include possible changes to regulation text recommended by the committee, in addition to the substantive changes reflected in the attachment. Non-substantive changes to update the title to Advanced Pharmacist Practitioner will also be necessary. As I open up for discussion, members, I note that the included in the meeting materials and displayed on the slide is a possible motion. Again, I'm sorry, Anne, you're going to have quite a regulation package to put together after this meeting. So, well, hopefully, members, anybody have any comments or would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Trevor.
I move to initiate a rulemaking to amend California Code of Regulations, Title 16, Section 1730.1 as proposed. Direct staff to submit the text to the Director of the Department of Consumer Affairs and Business, Consumer Services and Housing Agency for review, and authorize the executive officer to take all necessary steps to initiate the rulemaking process, make any technical or non-substantive changes to the package, and set the matter for hearing if requested. If during the 45-day comment period, the board does not receive any comments providing objections or adverse recommendations specifically directed at the proposed action or to the proposed procedures followed by the board in proposing or adopting the action, and no hearing is requested, authorize the executive officer to take all necessary steps to complete the rulemaking and adopt the proposed regulations at Section 1730.1 as noticed.
Thank you, Trevor. Do we have second?
Second.
Thank you, KK. Okay, members, seeing no hands raised in WebEx, seeing no other comments, we're ready for public comment. Dr. Dang? That's okay.
Hi, Richard Dang on behalf of myself. I am an advanced practice pharmacist, and I also teach several of the APH certification programs. I am in full support of this amendment and motion. As President O mentioned, the APH scope involves other things other than initiating, adjusting, and modifying discontinued drug therapy. So there are current individuals who are precluded from applying because they may be engaged in other activities, such as the evaluation and management of diseases that may not involve initiation and adjustment of medications. Additionally, applicants who have applied and submitted their collaborative practice agreement over the last few years have experienced application delays as board staff have rejected their collaborative practice agreement because it does not specifically include the words initiate, adjust, modify, or discontinue drug therapy and that exact language. And so if applicants who have the experience, who have a CPA that says that they're allowed to engage in comprehensive medication management services, have had to go back to get their application rejected. They've had to go back to their health systems or pharmacies to amend the CPA, which can take quite a while before they reapply again, resulting in licensure delays of otherwise qualified individuals. So this amendment would reduce that barrier of entry and make it easier for those who do meet the qualifications to actually achieve this licensure. Thank you.
Thank you for the comments, Dr. Dang. Any in person? Ready for WebEx? Shelley?
Thank you. If you'd like to comment on this item, please use the hand raise icon at the bottom of your screen. Our mobile users can access that through the ellipses, or our calling users can dial *3. Our first comment comes from Sean Kim. And Sean, I've sent the request to open your microphone.
Good afternoon, board. Sean Kim from CPHA. CPHA appreciate the board's ongoing work to strengthen and promote the advanced practice pharmacist, soon to be an advanced pharmacist practitioner. We would like to respectfully request a clarification on nomenclature. According to the last licensing committee meeting, my understanding is it will stay as APH rather than changing to APP. But broader public notice will be helpful to resolve any outstanding questions. And just like echoing to previous comments by Dr. Dang, CPHA also fully supports the proposed amendments to 16 CCR 1730.1, which modernized the documentation process and flexibility in verifying as well as earning qualifying clinical experience through amended application requirements and align the evolving standard of care model under AB 1503. We also would like to highlight a practice gap related to the recognition and the privileging of advanced practice pharmacist credential. Unfortunately, Medi-Cal state plan amendments, SPAs, is not currently recognizing APP as a distinct license type, as well as the commercial plans, including Medicare Advantage. So it should be aligned accordingly in order for APP to practice as fully intended what they're supposed to do. So CPHA strongly encourages the boards to coordinate and relevant state agencies to support the implementation and the payer recognitions for advanced pharmacist practitioner credential as intended. CPHA values continued collaboration with the board and ensure the APP program remains rigorous and accessible for pharmacists delivering advanced clinical care across California. Thank you.
Thank you for the comments, Dr. Kim.
And with that, I don't see any other requests for comment, so I will return the floor to you.
Thank you, Shelley. We're ready for vote, members. Jesse, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Trevor.
Yes.
Thank you, Renee.
Yes.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Yes.
Thank you, KK.
Yes.
Thank you, Claudia.
Yes.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Yes.
Thank you, Satinder.
Yes.
Thank you, Maria.
Yes.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
and I vote yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I know it's been a long day. Thank you, and I vote yes. Motion passes. Okay, next is summary of discussion of licensing statistics. Wrapping up my reports from the licensing committee included in the meeting materials is a summary of the licensing statistics for the first 3 months of the fiscal year and 3-year fiscal year comparison data, which is very useful. So hopefully you all look at that. Processing times for the various facility business types vary. While a few of the licensing programs are within the board's performance targets, others exceed the 30-day target. As a reminder, the processing time noted in the meeting materials represent the oldest application of each type. The average processing time is lower. I just want to shout out to all the licensing staff for working so diligently to process applications. Overall, licensing statistics reflected 2% decrease in the number of individual applications received and a 44% increase in the facility applications, but that's primarily driven by changes of ownership for chain community pharmacies. The number of individual licenses renewed increased by 4%, and the number of facility licenses renewed increased by 3%. Members, any comments? Seeing none, we are ready for public comment. In person, seeing none, we're ready for public comment in WebEx.
Thank you. If anybody on WebEx would like to comment on this item, please utilize that hand raise feature. Again, we are sharing instructions on the screen. For our call-in users, you can dial *3. And seeing no requests, I'll return the floor to you.
Thank you, Shelley. Okay, that concludes the licensing committee's report. Thank you for bearing with us here. All right, next agenda item is 14, Organizational Development Committee. We're almost there, guys. So Organizational Development Committee report is for information only, so I will keep my comments brief and open up for board and public comment at the end. The meeting materials include budget information for the new fiscal year that began on July 1st, 2025, as well as final budget figures for the fiscal year 24-25, which ended June 30th of 2025. The board's authorized expenditures are anticipated to be about $35.2 million this year. The board's fund condition is expected to increase slightly at the end of the current fiscal year. According to the report provided by the DCA, the board's fund currently has 8.2 months in reserve, which is a slight increase. As a reminder, under the provisions of BPC 4400P, the board shall seek to maintain a reserve equal to approximately 1 year's operating expenditures. I note this increase in the board's fund condition reflects in part the board's new fee structure that became effective January 2025. We will continue to monitor the fund and, if necessary, make adjustments in future years. And member attendance and mail vote information is included in attachment 2 and 3. I am truly grateful to everyone for their time and commitment to protecting California consumers. And some personal update, the board currently has 5 vacant staff positions. Recruitments are ongoing, and I receive regular updates on recruitments. And I know that we are doing much better than where we were a couple years ago. So I know they're all working very hard to fill all those vacancies. And lastly, there is a updated meeting calendar for the next year. So hopefully you all can mark your calendar for our meeting dates. Members, any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Trevor.
So Anne and staff, for just curious with the fund balance, so doing back of the napkin math with revenue and expenditures for 24-25. For 24-25, it seems like there's, so again, just back the napkin math, 35, 6, 7, 8, about $40 million in revenue for 2024-25, and about 30-ish million expenditures. So, I mean, we'll just, again, back in the napkin, $9 million more in revenue than expenditures-ish. But the general fund only increased by 2 million approximately, or $1.5 million. So I'm just wondering, where does that the extra revenue that was collected but not spent go, that doesn't go into the fund balance?
Yeah, so it will go into the fund balance. We had a couple of budget augment things that kind of happened over the last fiscal year, including the reduction of, authorized positions and things like that. So authorized expenditures were decreased. And then there was some cost savings measures. So we actually did not expend to our full authority. So that is part of the redirection back into the fund because we didn't spend the money that we were authorized to spend, if that makes sense. The other thing is we're still in projection mode kind of with respect to the restructure of our fees. And that's because they've only been in place for about 6 months. So we're kind of guessing a little bit in terms of what our revenue will be because we have not realized what that full fee structure will be. I do just also want to kind of note that I think our revenue potentially is going to be a bit volatile. We've had a closure of a significant chain community pharmacy, so we're going to have less revenue there. In addition to that, there's been some changes in that will impact our revenue, including we're no longer going to be licensing ads in emergency rooms based on the legislation in 447. And then we're looking at the provisions of implementing in 1503 related to pharmacy deserts. So I do think that our revenue is going to be, we're going to find a new normal, but there's a lot that's changing right now. So it's still, it's always an estimate, but now it's even more of an estimate, if that makes sense. I do think that it does show, historically, we've been very mindful of slowly working to restore our fund, right? When the board made its decision to recast fees, it was slow and steady is going to win the race in terms of restoring our fund. We're going to have to probably reevaluate that a little bit.
But going back to like not the projections, but what we specifically got in revenue that exceeded expenditures in 25. So are these numbers for 25, fiscal year 25, are those still projections or are those not?
Fiscal year 24-25 is done. We've just started 25-26.
Oh yeah, so I'm looking at the 24-25 numbers.
Yeah, so we didn't fully expend what our authorized were. We also received, there are certain kinds of revenues that you don't necessarily anticipate, but you receive. And a really good example of that is citation and fine.
Right.
So, 1.2 million in citation and fine revenue or whatever. Sorry, I'm not looking at the numbers. I'm trying to look at you.
Yeah.
But all of those kinds of things will also increase your projected, your actual revenue beyond probably what you projected because you don't want to balance your budget based on fines and those kinds of things.
Right. So where does the excess between the revenue and expenditures go?
Into our fund.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So that's why our month-end reserve has gotten much better.
Right.
Because of little by little, but the reserve numbers are always projecting out with certain percentage increases on expenditure without growth in revenue.
Got it.
So that's why this number always fluctuates.
Got it. Okay.
Any other member comments? No, Trevor, our money just goes into sky goes.
California state government, what can you say?
Okay, seeing no comments, we're gonna go for public comment in the room. Oh, sorry. God, this so tiny. Claudia, go ahead.
Just wanted to follow up. I did see that, for example, we are projecting, it says Department of Consumer Affairs. We're projecting that it could go up to 39 million a year in 2028, 2029. Is there something in particular that's changing? Is it just what we pay to staff and cost of living that we have to accommodate for? Anything that we
Uh,
should be aware of?
I don't think so, Claudia, but I'll let Anne speak on that, but I don't think so.
Yeah, so generally, and through our fee audit and the work that was done by that independent contractor, looking at historically, you are going to have increases in expenditures over time. Sometimes that's related to salaries, sometimes that's related to the cost of doing business, facilities, those kinds of things. If you're talking specifically about pro rata, you know that those are things that are assessed to the board for centralized services, both within the Department of Consumer Affairs as well as the state. And so when we're talking about like increases in salaries, right, that's going to increase both our personnel costs, but it's also going to increase generally like our pro rata because we're paying for services that now cost more. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, definitely, just so we can be aware that's coming, because I know that puts us at, let me see, what's the number? 3.2 months in reserve from 8.2. So just wanted to point that out. And do we have, I mean, have we gone below 3.2 months in reserve historically, or? Because doesn't feel like we should be comfortable with 3.2 months in reserve.
Yeah, so great question, Claudia. I'm happy to get back to you with that. We have been very low before. Our fees are at generally at their statutory minimum. So if we do need to raise fees, we do have the ability to do that through regulation as opposed to going back to the legislature. But like I said, our revenues are kind of in flux right now because we don't have a full year's worth of data in terms of our fees at the recasted fee schedule. So I think probably in another year after like the ads settles out, the loss of the Rite Aid settles out, and the new fees, we'll probably have a better sense of where we need to go, if that
Thank you
makes
for,
sense.
yes, thanks for clarifying. I appreciate that.
And for anyone wondering, I know our staff does an amazing job of really ensuring that they're very careful on budget and be conscious of our reserve fund situation. Okay. I think that's it. We're ready for the next agenda item. Did we do public
You
comment?
didn't.
Oh, because Claudia, that's right. Okay, we're going back to public comment on WebEx.
If you would like to make a comment, please utilize that hand raise icon on your screen under the ellipses for mobile users or *3 for our call-in users. We do have a comment from Sean Kim. And Sean, I've sent the request to unmute your microphone.
Thank you. On behalf of CPHA, thank you to the board and the staff for your continued dedication during these unforced and challenging times. We're confident that pharmacy profession in California is moving to the right direction and gaining the recognition from our healthcare colleagues and the general public. As discussed today, there are some important initiatives that has to be implemented in the near future, but we look forward to continue this productive conversation in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
And seeing no other requests, I'll return the floor to you.
Thank you. We're almost there, guys. Agenda item 15, Executive Officer Report. I will turn the meeting over to Anne for a brief report. So this is when she's gonna talk very fast.
So I know we're tight on time. I'm feeling pressure right now. Okay, so included in the EO report are updates on a number of items for your review, including some cures data, CAMER reporting data, status of regulations, information on the joint listening session that we convened with the California Veterinary Medical Board, as well as implementation of Proposition 34. I would like to highlight one of the items in there specifically is related to the joint forum. So an announcement has been released regarding the joint forum that is December 17th. Registration will open in about 2 weeks, and because space is limited, I would recommend that individuals interested in participating register early. And back to you, President O.
I cannot believe you did not share with us, though, that you were elected as a NABP District 8 chairperson. So she will be serving in that role as a NABP District 8's chair, along with me as a treasurer. So now I get to call her my boss. Thank you, Chair Sodergren. Okay, members, any comments for Anne? Seeing none, we're ready for public comment in person. I think everybody's exhausted. We're ready to go home. In person, none. We're ready for WebEx, public comment on WebEx.
If you'd like to comment on the EO's report, please raise your hand using that raise hand icon feature at the bottom of your screen, through the ellipses if you are on a mobile device, or by dialing *3 if dialing in on a phone. And seeing no public requests for comment, I'll return the floor to you, and Maria Serpa has her hand.
Oh, thank you, Shelley. And I also want to remind everyone, really, this joint forum for December 17th, I think will be great. So I hope all our board members to please come, and all the public pharmacists to please register and join. And then I'll go to you, Maria.
Yeah, I should have mentioned, but if you have an opportunity to read Ann's report about the joint veterinary board of pharmacy listening session, was very successful. Large numbers of attendees, most of them remote. Veterinarians had questions regarding access to some very unusual types of medications, and there was a person from the Veterinary Association who provided some assistance on where to access things and how to request them. But also Ann has added assistance to veterinarians on where to access medications, what vendors provide it through the 503B process. And I thought that was very helpful, that the Board of Pharmacy is seen as more being helpful instead of being resistant and causing all of drug shortages. You know, we know that the pharmacy board does not cause drug shortages, but the board is really reaching out not only to human patients, but to animal patients to help them too. So thank you everyone who have participated.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for participating in that as well. Okay, members, we are at the end. So thank you to the public for your participation today. Thanks for all of you to coming in person, to all the attendees in WebEx. Thank you to all our members for flying here and driving. Thank you all for all you do. Thank you to members joining via WebEx. So hopefully we'll see you in January. I cannot believe. Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all the holidays in between. Hope you all have a great rest of the year. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.